Under the dim lights of the Morristown Chapel, the air was thick with grief. Fans lined the streets, holding old Kiss posters, their faces painted silver in honor of the spaceman. Inside, silence ruled until the doors creaked open. Slowly, Peter Criss, Ace's longtime bandmate and brother-in-arms, stepped forward. No one expected what happened next. As he faced the crowd, his voice trembled, raw and heavy with emotion. Then he whispered, "This one's for you, Space Ace." What followed stunned everyone. A tribute so powerful, so personal, it turned tears into thunder. That day, Ace Frehley's funeral became more than a goodbye. It became rock's most unforgettable farewell. Weeks before his passing, Ace Frehley had been hard at work on what he described as his most personal solo album, a follow-up to 10,000 Volts, which had been released in early 2024. He wanted to prove that his energy was still the same as it had been in his 20s. Those who worked with him in the studio said he spent over 8 hours every night recording, taking only short breaks for strong coffee. He still lived the same nocturnal rhythm that had carried him through the golden age of Kiss. But during one of those late-night sessions at Morristown Studios, something went wrong. While standing near an amplifier, Ace suddenly lost his balance and collapsed. At first, everyone thought it was exhaustion, but doctors soon discovered that the fall had caused a serious head injury and internal bleeding. He was rushed to the Morristown Medical Center, where surgeons performed emergency brain surgery to relieve pressure in his skull. The procedure lasted several hours, and though his condition stabilized briefly, it soon began to deteriorate. By the night of October 15th, his family gathered around his hospital bed as the monitors began to slow. At 2:14 a.m., the heart of Ace Frehley stopped beating. He was 74 years old. The official report described the cause as complications from a traumatic brain injury after a fall. But for millions of fans, it felt like the end of an era, the loss of a man who had once turned a guitar into a symbol of cosmic energy. That morning, Ace Frehley's family released a brief but heartfelt statement. Ace passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family and the music he loved. Within hours, tributes flooded in from around the globe. Gene Simmons called him a true warrior of the guitar. Paul Stanley said, "This loss goes beyond music. He was the one who gave our stage its soul." And Peter Criss remembered him as the electric heart of Kiss. Their words painted the picture of a man who wasn't just a guitarist, but a living force, the sound of fire and stars combined. Before the tragic accident, Ace had been preparing for a major comeback. Even as his health declined in mid-2024, when he began losing motor control in his right hand, his spirit never wavered. He spent sleepless nights in his studio, recording, mixing, and chasing new sounds. One of his doctors once said, Ace didn't know how to rest. Music was his pulse. Fulfilling his wish for a quiet farewell, his family arranged a private funeral in Morristown. The service was intimate, just close friends, family, and a few fellow musicians. As soft recordings of his guitar filled the room, a woman rose unexpectedly from the back. Few recognized her, but when she spoke, silence fell. She revealed a long secret relationship with Ace, a love story hidden for decades, a life they once shared in Los Angeles, away from fame, writing songs and letters that no one had ever heard. Then she took a small tape recorder from her bag and placed it on the podium. "He told me," she said, "that when the time comes, let it play." She pressed the button. The room filled with a gentle acoustic melody and the unmistakable sound of Ace's voice. Not singing, but speaking softly. "This," he said on the recording, "is for the only person who ever understood me outside of music." The song, titled Goldie Star, was unlike anything Ace had ever released. There were no heavy drums, no amplifiers, no special effects, just his voice and an acoustic guitar, raw and real. It wasn't part of any album, not Origins, not 10,000 Volts. It was a standalone recording mixed by Ace himself on old analog equipment. The woman explained that he never intended it to be commercialized. It was a piece of his soul, kept for the moment when his story would end. As the song played, tears rolled down the faces of everyone in the room. They weren't just hearing his voice, they were hearing his truth. The melody faded out, leaving behind a silence heavier than any applause. That was the moment when the myth of Ace Frehley, the rock god, gave way to the man himself, fragile, human, and honest. After the funeral, it was revealed that the woman still held the only copy of the recording. She vowed never to sell or share it, saying, "He didn't want perfection. He wanted truth." Music experts who later analyzed the style of Goldie Star said it reflected a side of Ace rarely seen. Intimate, emotional, and deeply personal. It captured the sound of solitude, the same energy that had fueled his greatest performances, but stripped of all spectacle. For Ace Frehley, freedom was always more important than fame. From his earliest days with Kiss, he fought to protect his artistic independence. Every decision, every departure, every comeback came from that same core belief. Music should be honest, not manufactured. When he left the band, it wasn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was survival. He needed to reclaim his sound. His solo work, from Frehley's Comet to his later projects, proved that independence. He handled his own arrangements, his own mixing, his own stage direction. Sometimes that brought him success. Other times it brought frustration and lawsuits. But Ace never gave in to compromise. Behind every solo was defiance. Behind every album was integrity. He refused to be a product of the industry. He wanted to be himself. That stubbornness came at a price. His career was marked by constant tension, creative clashes with his bandmates, disputes over copyrights, and endless battles with record labels. Yet even through the chaos, he kept his sound pure. He didn't chase trends or bend to what the market wanted. When executives asked him to modernize his music, he refused. He wanted to sound like Ace Frehley, not anyone else. Colleagues sometimes called him difficult, but that determination became the reason his name endured. A close friend once said, "Ace would rather fail as himself than succeed as someone else." That was the foundation of his story, a relentless will to stay true, even when the world demanded change. What made Ace truly legendary wasn't only his image or his costumes, it was the music itself. The riffs that were simple yet unforgettable, the melodies that told stories without words. His guitar didn't show off, it spoke. Songs like Shock Me and Cold Gin became staples in music schools, studied for their balance of rhythm, silence, and emotion. Many artists from later generations spoke of his influence. Dave Grohl once said that seeing Ace's guitar smoke on stage was what made him want to become a musician. Lady Gaga described the spaceman persona as a symbol of fearless individuality. His ability to merge performance and storytelling influenced not only rock musicians, but also pop and electronic performers who borrowed his sense of drama and authenticity. After his passing, his family and team began sorting through his archives. Inside were dozens of unreleased tracks, rough takes, and forgotten demos. Experts say many of them sound like echoes of his Frehley's Comet era. Nostalgic, emotional, and unmistakably Ace. Among them was the original analog copy of Goldie Star, still untouched. No label owned it, no manager controlled it. It was his final act of independence. In an old interview discovered after his death, Ace said, "If I leave something behind, it should be with someone who really understands me." Those words now carry the weight of prophecy. That one song, preserved by the woman who knew him best, became the bridge between the legend and the man. For half a century, Ace Frehley had been more than just a guitarist. He was a living symbol of authenticity, proof that integrity can last longer than fame. He didn't die chasing the charts or rewriting his image to fit the times. He died doing what he loved, creating. His legacy isn't measured by the number of awards or albums sold. It lives in every young musician who picks up a guitar and dreams of finding their own sound. Because in every echo of his strings, there's rebellion. In every silence between notes, there's honesty. And in every melody he left behind, there's the eternal heartbeat of the spaceman. And that's the story of Ace Frehley, a true rock legend whose music still echoes through every stage and every dreamer with a guitar. If his journey inspired you, hit that like button, share this story with every rock fan you know, and subscribe for more untold legends who changed the sound of history. Because real music never dies, it just turns up the volume. Thanks for watching!